advantages to having huge hands like that?
Definitely. I don't notice until I see either my friends or someone else doing an activity, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like putting my hands in my own pockets. Like sometimes it's just way too small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that you live in Southern
I could
California.
Keep going on and on.
Wait a minute, is that why you left Toronto? Because your hands were cold?
Oh man, I couldn't find gloves to fit me.
Kendrick, you gotta feel bad for Kawhi not being able to put his hands in his pockets, right?
No, he's able to get that money. He's able to count that money with them big hands, right?
The money can keep those hands warm, Rach.
I'm just saying, everybody has a plate. Everybody. And Kawhi's is that he cannot wear gloves. It's remarkable. Shout out to Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, because that is the most unlikely talk show booking I have ever heard of. I am impressed. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols. Today, I am joined by NBA champ Kendrick Perkins and our insider Warriors reporter Nick Friedel. Thank you both for stopping by. Coming up, we had great dunk reaction from an opposing bench last night. So our staff cooked up a medley of the best opposing bench reactions all time. You are not going to want to miss that. First, though, back-to-back MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo has achieved a lot in his 7-year career, but what has eluded him so far? Even a crack at an NBA title. And he made it very clear in talking to reporters yesterday that he intends to change that over the life of this new 5-year extension he just signed with the Bucks. Take a listen.
I want to be here. I want to help my teammates. I want to help this organization win a championship. I want this organization and my teammates to help me win the championship. Obviously, it goes both ways. But as I said, like I try to keep it away from my head. Like, it puts a lot of pressure in athletes, and it gave me headache all summer. Like, people asking me and people talking about me. I just wanted to be left alone. I knew what I wanted in my head. I knew that the goal is to win a championship, and I knew that here we have a chance to win a championship. I think we got better as a team, and we're going to continue to get better. And there's always a chance. There's always a chance to win a championship here.
Perk, you heard him repeat that word, championship, over and over. Do you believe Giannis and the Bucks will get it done sometime in these next 5 years?
Yes, I do. Look, I think Giannis keeps getting better every year, Rachel, and he's going to keep getting better. And right now, with Giannis re-signing in Milwaukee, I truly believe that it is eye candy to other free agents that are going to become free agents in the offseason, and they're going to want to come play with Giannis. It's not necessarily moving to Milwaukee, but they're going to want to come to play with Giannis because they feel like they could win a championship if they're alongside of him.
Rach, I still have serious doubts. And Perk, I think the Bucks are in a much better place than they were a couple months ago. Getting Eric Bledsoe out, bringing Drew Holiday in, that is a huge upgrade. But I don't know if Mike Budenholzer is the coach that's going to help them get over the hump. And I still have questions about Giannis in the postseason. When you watch Giannis against the Miami Heat, and they built that wall, and Jimmy Butler's on him, and Bam Adebayo's on him, I just don't know, even with this move over the last couple of weeks, if they have enough on the roster right now. I've always loved Giannis. I think he can get better. Chris Middleton is a hell of a player. But unless Holiday can raise the level of his game to a different point than we've seen, I still don't know if Milwaukee can both get into the finals out of the East and then get whoever comes out of the West.
That's really such an important point about getting to the finals at all, because Kevin Durant is in the conference now. That's just a game changer, right? So if Kevin Durant turns into the Kevin Durant of old, and he's got Kyrie Irving with him, and also when you talk about recruiting, guys, Kyrie and KD are trying to recruit future free agents and guys to come play in Brooklyn. And Milwaukee, of course, a smaller market. But Giannis is a big draw. I would want to go play with that guy. It is going to be a challenge. And you, of course, then have the gauntlet in the West with all the strength out there as well. We will see. Here's what I know. The part that's on Giannis to get better himself, the way, Nick, you were talking about, I have faith that that will happen. And then we'll have to see where the other chips fall. Let's move on to James Harden, though, guys, because his saga with the Rockets, yeah, still there. Yesterday, our Tim McMahon published a really interesting piece with some behind-the-scenes details of Rockets culture the past few years. McMahon spoke to former Rockets staffers. And look, none of this is a big shock, right? A former Rockets assistant coach said of Harden, quote, "We knew who the boss of the organization was. That's just part of the deal was when you go to Houston. The players, coaches, GM, owner all know." The same assistant also said, quote, "I don't blame James. I blame the organization. It's not his fault. He did what they allowed him to do." A member of last season's coaching staff added this: "If they have multiple days off, everybody knows James is going to fly somewhere else and party. But he's then going to come back and have a 50-point triple-double, so they're okay with it." Perk, we know superstars in this league granted a certain amount of leeway, but how much is too much for an organization to allow?
Well, here's the thing, Rachel, is that James Harden is grown. Last time I checked, he's a grown man. So just because they gave him, those type of superstar privileges, that don't mean it was the Rockets' fault. This is done all around the league when superstars get privileges. It's James' fault that he abuses the privileges and goes above and beyond. What was the Rockets supposed to do? Fine him, suspend him? He's the guy that's been leading the league in scoring for the last 3 years, an MVP candidate, a guy who's was almost close to averaging a triple-double. James Harden, what do ownership or the front office is supposed to tell James? Don't do this, we're going to fine you, and he's coming back and delivering on the court? James has to be to blame for this.
Perk, you played on a lot of different teams with a lot of different stars. Is what James Harden was asking for that much different than what other stars around the league get away with on a regular basis?
Well, I'll repeat your question again, Nick. I'm sorry.
Is what Harden was asking for and what he was doing in Houston, is that much different than what all kinds of stars around the league do on a regular basis?
No, it's not that much difference. I know a lot of stars that ask for, certain players or ask for certain demands in the organization. Right now, we just started off showing Kawhi Leonard. Last time I checked, he's taking a helicopter to San Diego every day after practice. He's late for team playing. So, it comes with being $100 million player.
I think that's the key, though, and you said it earlier, Perk. It's what you do with those privileges, right?
Yes.
Because it is a back and forth. And by the way, James Harden is far from the first person to be in this situation. Let's go back to the Jordan rules and Michael Jordan, right? Or on this show when Grant Hill came on with Tracy McGrady and had to inform him of the dinner he had been at with Tim Duncan and Doc Rivers when they were both playing in Orlando, where Tim asked if his fiancée, now wife, could come on the team plane, and Doc, trying to hold the line on special privileges, said no. And Tim Duncan didn't end up in Orlando with those guys. And T-Mac and Grant were just out of their head years later that it didn't happen. They were like, let her on the damn plane. So obviously, we have seen this for decades. The issue, though, is what you do with those superstar privileges and how each player who gets them uses his judgment on whether it hurts or helps the team. And by the way, it's a sliding scale, and there's a lot of wiggle room there. But a great example in Tim McMahon's story was Russell Westbrook, who had those same exact privileges, right, in Oklahoma City. That entire organization was built around him. But being built around Russ means that you were built around his need for everything to be organized, everything to be on time. Russ loves things a very particular, certain, steady way. So that was actually good for the organization. Well, he then got to Houston, and it was the opposite with James Harden. Tim McMahon details the late planes, late practices, and that was one of the reasons that Russ wanted a trade. So it is a sliding scale. It happens in every team across the years. But it didn't work out in Houston, and they are bearing the fruit of that now. All right, guys, before we go to break, I do want to take a quick second to mention that today, the NBA Foundation announced a total of $2 million in inaugural grants that will drive economic empowerment in Black communities through employment and career advancement. 7 organizations, including this great program, the Knowledge House, have been selected as the recipients of the first grants from the foundation. Kudos to the foundation and a very important step toward equality. Also coming up later on this show, after Gordon Hayward was injured again yesterday, should the Hornets regret that $120 million contract they gave him this summer? We'll discuss that. First, though,